Rahubat Muisar, I am Sakenta Kamreye. Today, we're going to look at a master's secret, Tankath, salvation. Because you're taught in religion that somebody's coming to save you. But the word salvation can come from different roots, such as salvic, which is really not relating to you if you're not enslaved or somebody that is in slavery. This is series number 14, The Master's Secrets. The Master's Secrets, for those who have had the opportunity to read any of them, they give you and provide information of things that are not yet revealed. Obviously, in time, they become known to others, but the Master's Secrets always gives us information way, way, way ahead of time. And this one we're going to dive into today is called Salvation. Tankhaz. Okay. The Master Teacher, of course, is His Excellency Malachi Z. Kobina York Okran, born Tuesday, June 26, 1945 AD in Ghana, Tokoradi. The Master's Secrets, Tankath, Salvation. 1. Nakuk atoi tawaat lahe aye salafu lahe rasul ye nanan pa munbab pa muklas wul muthar shalel panen zamut wu wakut pa mushfei bisaho kayasat an huwa yahe wahuba nunya pa sawab annun adir pa nawabt bi wahub nunya wu nawab jamet sahe kayas annun nunya tarak shalel anak wu hayu an huwa hayas nazula lahe nunya mane pa kawak marzak bashar wu damam jawef khatat un mane marzak jawef malal lahe panen kawak taha Annun nun tankaz. Translating that, I give thanks to my ancestors for sending Yanun, the one who is the master, the one who is the savior and warner of this day and time, the one who heals by way of right reasonings, he who gave us the truth. We are the replacement by way of giving us wu nuwak, solid, sound, correct, right reason, logic, our own way of life and living. He has come down towards us from the planet Risk, flesh and blood inside a body from Risk in Ilion to this planet Earth, our own salvation. And what's important about that is when you say reason, reason is logic. Now, if you ever watch Star Trek, Spock used to always say, if you said something that didn't work out, you say that's illogical. That's illogical. Meaning that for something to be sound and right, it has to make sense. It has to be logical. Like if you wanted to make a cup of tea, right? If you ask people, how do you make a cup of tea? A lot of people will say, boil the kettle and then pour the water into the cup, put the tea in it, coffee, whatever, right? But you didn't catch it. You don't boil the kettle. You put the water into the kettle and then you boil the water in the kettle, you see, and there is a process, a logical process or way of going about doing things that makes sense. So when you're given information or anything, your being, your body is vibrating to be able to know and pick up something that is logical and something that makes sense from something that doesn't make sense. So if you said to somebody to do something in the wrong order, they automatically would go, what? That doesn't make sense. You know, like if you said, in that example I gave with the tea, if you were to basically say, put sugar into the kettle and then put the water in the cup without boiling it, it's out of place. It doesn't make sense. That's a very simple example to show you that when things are logical, it makes sense. So when you're giving instructions to somebody, you don't say turn left when you want them to turn right. If you're trying to get to a destination, you don't say go the opposite direction. That's illogical. It doesn't make sense. So when you're reading books in the Bible, in the Quran, religious books, stories, even an allegation, someone is trying to say somebody did this, and then you say, what time was it? They say 7 o'clock, but the person wasn't there till, the next day or something. It's illogical. It doesn't make sense. So let's carry on. All right. So that's what Wu-Sabat does. That's what Wu-Sabat does. It gives you solid, sound, correct, right, reason, logic, things that make sense. And that's our way of life. And another point from that is that he came down from Planet Risk himself. That's showing you someone who's taking charge, responsibility for others. You don't send your only, as they say in religion, in Christianity, your only begotten son. I'm saying that he came down himself, because as God, you won't send your son. And like I was saying, the begotten part was trying to say it's his only son. Now, if you only have one son and there's danger and there's some kind of, risk to him being unsafe, why would you send him to take care of something that you as God can do? Meaning that you can click your fingers and you can change the outcome of things. So this is just to show you that, religion is illogical. Like, how would you be God who can do anything, send your son to be unalive and nailed on the cross when he's your only son? Why would you do that? To prove something to who? You don't need to prove anything to anybody if you are God. You just do what's necessary. So yes, it's saying that he came down towards us from the planet Risk, flesh and blood, inside a body from Risk in Ilion to this planet Earth for our own salvation. All right, 2. A namaz or prayer for my own people, the replacements of all who failed. And when he says of all who failed, you have to look and say today, religion is dead, because you have Muslims all over the world. It doesn't matter who they are, praying and asking for help from their deity. You have Christians all over the world praying and asking for help. But yet you see that when two countries go to war, right, you'll have a country that will claim to be a Christian country. You have other countries that will claim to be Muslim countries. But yet they fight each other and their gods don't step in and help them. So that should show you when we say that you don't get the help, right? We have a master secrets called Is There No Help From Above, that you should also read, because if you have these gods that are supposed to be above, but yet you see all the problems in the world and they're not able to step in and help, and they fail you. The same way with most of the leaders that came to the Negroid on this planet. That's why we said again in many videos, your God can't be the same God of your slave master, because he hasn't helped you. And all the leaders and all the people that have come to try and liberate and save our people with a religious foundation haven't also succeeded. Why? The conditions of our people remain the same, regardless of how hard they prayed and what gods they called from these monotheistic religions. But yet, Panda Babyanun is succeeding because he's bringing everybody together on the truth. All right, let's keep going. 3. As each of their Safa'at books taught that if they failed, a new people will be raised to know what replaced those who lived by faith and beliefs of the religions of the Adamite race and their books, doctrines, teachings of their own story. 4. Yet, now that I have come with Wu-Sabat, and they became Pa Munwapu, the ones who replaced the others. It was written, and it is. 5. And O Mokshashu, gossiping ones of the past before the year 2000 AD, the expiration of all the biblical and Quranic teachings, as well as the end of the 6,000 years of the Adamite Tadad domination and rule by their own legends, fictions, and false beliefs. 6. You who still follow them and make the claim to be counted amongst the knowing, know this: you have been deceived by the Mulbanu, whites, Kakasu, Caucasians, and Arabu, Reds, Arabs, and their religious beliefs. 7. Do not be arrogant and speak, preach, teach much about that which you are not knowledgeable. 8. You who have Hatuma decided to live a lie. Hatum decide to now live the Sawab, truth. 9. You are of the original race of people. Act as if you have some sense. Again, this goes back to the logic. Act like you have some sense, because you're following things that don't make sense. 10. The Mujwa'u, Jews, Muksasu, Christians, and Muslims do not grasp the Zalak, essence of that which, or those who were planned on this planet long before their Adam and Eve, by whichever names. 11. Neither in turn does those who grafted and made them grasp the Zalak, essence of that which, or those who were grown, Sayem, divine, in Fatar, natural nature. 12. Man's kind can never grasp the natural nature of the original, Afafreye Ka'u Zazaz, African man. 13. The unnatural natured human beast is just that, a heathen and a Zabat beast. 14. Nor does this human beast understand or our true divine Fatir al-Fatar, natural nature, thoroughly. 15. Only what they breed of us as hybrids and neutrinoids who as mulatto chose to join onto the Tanan'u, the Dragonians. 16. We, Parnataru, the overseers, have designated a genetic system, a scientific system of natural rules of nature, and they are on the outside of the natural rule. 17. A set of genetic principles to each creature of these species and entities to which all must submit. 18. Of your 24,000 chromosomes in your genomes, you always are using 24%. The other 76% is jumping DNA and satellite DNA and are interfacing with the morphic field. 19. So in fact, are actively responding to alterations in your state of consciousness. Now that's deep. Remember that anything that you think of or any question you may have as you're watching and listening to this, you can put it in the comment section and we can answer it and break it down for you. Or you can submit 3 questions to us. So he's basically saying that of your 24,000 chromosomes in your genome, because you know they've obviously deciphered all the genes by way of the genome project, the human genome project, that you're always using 24%. However, the other 76% is jumping DNA and satellite DNA. And that interfaces with the morphic field, right? The morphogenetic field, that's where you're still able to have contact. Because remember that although you're physically vibrating on a lower vibrational frequency, you have other parts of you that are vibrating on the higher frequencies all the way up to the etheric realm, and you're connected to them at different levels of vibrations. So as you're conscious, a sentient being, you're able to still interact with those morphic fields. And he's saying here in verse 19 that so in fact are actively responding to alterations in your state of consciousness, because you're constantly vibrating, you're constantly changing based on your thoughts, your aura. All of these things are part of that morphic field. All right, so 20. Your satellite DNA's ability to expand the number of repeating sequences means an increase in the outformation to your information earning capacity of DNA. So you're interacting from outside of yourself to inside of yourself, because outformation becomes information once you retrieve it to your local hard disk or your local physical being. All right, as information. 21. As a fractional antenna. So fractals breaking down is like light breaking down into different fractals, or atoms are, holding things together, but they're actually tiny fractals. But anyway, so it says as a fractional antenna. So an antenna is like, you have a way of receiving these vibrations, such as radio waves, these frequencies, there's so many frequencies that you're receiving, and as an antenna you're receiving. That's like I said, if you're tuning into a radio and you're receiving these radio waves. So it goes on, as a fractional antenna, DNA interacts with the etheric of space, time and vacuum, terms which are synonymous in this context with your 0 time point of 0 point. So the 0 time reference is what makes you unique. It goes to the point where, the sperm and the ovum connected or came in contact with each other, thus you was being grown. All right, so it says that this is synonymous in this context with your 0 time point of 0 point, nashat energy, which interacts with your consciousness. 22. So each race or species is in actual fact affected by their environment. 23. Everything they're taught, believe and accept. 24. Everything they sharub, drink, baro, eat, yafuch, breathe in. So basically everything you drink, everything you've been taught, everything you believe, everything you eat, even the air you breathe in, has a different effect or interaction with your consciousness. 25. all is affecting your state of akal, mind, and mukhwan, being. Your 24,000 genomes and the 24% of them you use at all times, 26. And the 76% that you have been kadhuba, lied to, and told are not used, called by them junk DNA, which is sadak, true, for them, yet not for you, nagar negroid. So although you hear that 76% of your DNA is not being utilized, and they refer to this as junk DNA, the master teacher is saying that that's not the case for us as Negroids, but it is for others, or for the Adamites. So we actually utilize that 76%. Let's continue. 27. Seek out your own DNA salvation, which can only come by way of your own Salafi ancestors. 28. Those with your same positive blood types and DNA. Yakhasat, genes whose bodies, hazuz, vibrate at the exact same speed as your own pigmentation. 29. The world's scientists, geneticists, genealogists, hermatologists, and dermatologists all now agree that we are not the same, only differ by skin color. That is now proven wrong. So it's not just the fact that we've got different skin color that makes us different. When you go into the scientific aspect, it is actually more than that. 30. The Laben Salal white race originally had Rh negative blood type. 31. The Khamim Salal black race originally had positive blood type. 32. So we are not the same. 33. Now it's known that the Labin Salal white race is of Cro-Magnon European, who was Rh negative blood type and unique DNA. 34. They know that the white race has Satu, 6 different types of chromosomes, not the same and not related to the Mukhma'u, black. 35. The Khamim Salal black race has Tasu, 9 different types of chromosomes, not the same and not related to white. 36. Over the past 6,000 years, there has been much mixing, crossbreedings. The result is now known by hybrids of both races having both Rh negative blood types and Rh positive blood types, and exchanging of many maradhat diseases from the Yarabu Europeans to all others, starting with leprosy or leper, Greek lepros, scaly, rosy, Middle English, bright, and their own Bible and Quran speaks of their curse in Genesis 9:25, of whom was cursed Canaan, then Leviticus 13 verses 1 to 59. 37. What to look for when a people have the curse or plague of Barasi, leprosy, and why their Gadad, God, put leprosy on a person, or Shakasu, people, out of anger. Again, God in anger put this disease or plague on people. You can read this in Exodus 4 verse 6, number 12 verses 9 to 10. 38. All this starting from 4000 BC of their Bible time, or 6,000 years back from 2000 AD. 39. So the fact is, Mukhmanu, blacks, and Mulbanu, whites, are not the same. 40. The white race of Adamites, is only 6,000 years old, and with them came sickness, disease, by them raping other Salalu races of people, not the same as them by the rules of natural nature. 41. You as the Sayyim Salal, divine race, the Faik Salal, supreme race, Pa Wahen Salal, the first race, are now unaligned, untuned, and out of sync. 42. You must be realigned and retuned. The closed sarat, etheric cord, okay? So your etheric cord is the connection you have with the etheric realm. Just like a computer, right? A desktop computer or a tablet or whatever you have that is connected to the network by way of your Ethernet, even if it's wireless to your router, but your router is connected to the internet, means that you have access to all the information around the world, around the other servers. And so your etheric cord is what connects you to the etheric realm, which is the highest realm. And then obviously there are other realms and other dimensions below that. So The master is basically saying that because of the wrong information, your etheric cord is closed, or the cord is not able to connect or receive information. So he's saying from verse 42, you must be realigned and retune the closed sarat, etheric cord, like a straw has collapsed and must be reopened for the flow of your divine sakham wu khawu, power and strength. 43. Your Salafu ancestors wait on you to reopen the straw like redialing a correct phone number, and they pick up from the other side, and then your prayers are answered or heard. 44. Now is your salvation. Time to remind yourself. 45. I, Parnabab Yanun, have come with the right masak, music, note, the right key, the right tone, or the new song. 46. When the Mujwa'u Jews chant in Habarui, Hebrew, their own books, that is their own songs. 47. When the Muksasu Christians sing hymns in Greek, Latin or English from their own books, those are their own songs. 48. When the Muslims chant in Arabic from their own book, that is their own song. 49. Their ghanayat songs, ranamat chants in their own lahajat languages, in their own hazabat culture, rhythms, their own physical sawat-at voices vibrating from their own vocal cords, the membranous folds in the larynx that hazuz vibrate to produce voice sounds. 50. And up until very recent, you could clearly tell a white man's Sawat voice from a black man's voice. 51. Only after the past 400 years, from the 1600s, with so much race mixing, do Khamem Zazaz black men, some now, get mixed up with white men's voices. 52. Yet, natural nature made the separation in the human Sanafu species, and humans violated the rule. 53. So, our race must separate and become returned to our original physical stature and voice, that we may sing our own song in our own Lahej language, Nwapik. 54. Until then, we will remain unaligned with self, kin and kind, and even act like other than self and kin kind. 55. We become a kind of man, becoming a beast and heathen, like Adamu Natatu, Adamite seeds. 56. Many from among you echo statements, Ghanoi, sing, Ranamat, chant, the Ghanayat, songs of the counterfeiters, and Saduk, trust the deception of the deceiving race of Mudwa'u, devils. 57. As a result, you have ended up being his slaves, oppressed, confused, and without khayas, reasoning. 58. Now, for them on their behalf, you also are fabricators of legends and fictions of untruth. 59. Rejection of your own actual facts, your trustworthy confirmations, that which I, Parnabab Yanun, as Isa Al-Hadi Al-Mahdi, spoke to you of as far back as 1970 AD, and all I taught is being confirmed each Zamut day. 60. How can you doubt what you experience with your own ayan to it? Ayan at eyes, yazan at ears. 61. I, Parnabab Yanun, incarnated and came before you, giving you what you asked of me until 2000 AD, when I was able to give you what I incarnated to really teach you, Wu-Sabat. 62. When you came upon me, you had much to ask, yet always based on what you believed from the Bible and or Quran. 63. You asked me, am I Jesus Christ? I told you no. 64. You asked me, was I a prophet? I told you no. 65. You asked me, was I an apostle? I told you no. 66. Many of you said, I know who you are, and I know you won't admit to it. I simply said to that, okay. 67. Many of you really wanted a holy man. I said many times, I'm not a holy man. 68. I'm like Buddha, Confucius, or the Dalai Lama. 69. Many of you really wanted a saint. 70. I told you over and over, I am a master teacher, not a pious altruist, except for my own race of people. 71. Over and over I said, don't expect me to be holy so that you can look for and find fault in me. 72. Do that with your pastors, bishops, ministers, clergy, reverends, who claim to live by the letters of the Bible they call the word of their God, on good and evil. 73. Do that with your imams, sheikh, mullah, mullawi, who claim to live by the letters of the Quran and hadith and sunnah on being good or righteous. 74. Again, I was and am a master teacher. Stop looking for faults in how I live from day to day. Find faults in what I teach as a teacher. That you will never be able to do. 75. I am Al-Mahdi by Ranan name only. The only true Al-Mahdi was and still is my great grandfather of the Sudan, and I still acknowledge him as the only true Al-Mahdi to the Muslim world, yet again with all the Haqaqat facts that confirmed who he was. Yet because of racism in Red Arabs Islam, they refused to accept him, and none beside him came after their Prophet Muhammad of 576 to 632 AD. Who fit every description in their hadith of what he would look like and where he would appear and do. 76. We as Nuwapians to this day celebrate his day as the 4th of July each year. 77. Pa Mahdi Zamut, the Mahdi's day. 78. I will always love and respect my bloodline and Sudanese family and read his book Al-Rati. 79. In Al-Islam's hadith, it says to expect a reformer, a renewer, 100 years after the Mahdi has come. 80. My great-grandfather was born in 1845 AD, and exactly 100 years after him, I was born in 1945 AD, on the exact same date, June 26. 81. So, as the reformer or renewer, I was to come with something to reform what they had to bring about, a renewal, and that is exactly what I did in 1970 AD with the Nubian Islamic Hebrews and Ansar community, and never before seen symbol, right? So it's the symbol of the six-pointed star and crescent, which shocked the whole Muslim Tapao world, and what I taught they did not like, yet they could not prove one Madat word wrong. And then I began to ask them questions, and they could not answer any of them. So I moved on to renew and reform as I was sent to do. 82. Yet many of you still hold on to the old schools of Ansarullah community and the explained Bible and Quranic teachings. 83. Some took hold of the book of Lamb, you know as the holy tablets, which the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad told his followers he had seen in a vision and to look for it. 84. Yet many Ragub reject it, and many Ansars won't let it go or wait for me to update it as I told them I would if needed. That's an important point, because the Holy Tablet was something that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the founder of the Nation of Islam, saw in a vision, and he told his followers to look out for the person that was going to come with that and with it. And to date, the only book that came after him claiming that is the Holy Tablets, which begins every chapter with Lo or Lam, right? Because the L is the Lam in Arabic, and Lo starting with the L. So he's saying that even Ansars and a lot of people till this day, they don't want to let it go. They don't want to move on from it, even though he told us that it expired in the year 2000, but he would renew it if needed. So he's saying here, I'll read from verses 84 and 85 again. Yet many Raghub reject it, and many Ansars won't let it go or wait for me to update it as I told them I would if needed. 85. Yet I needed to be away from Shakasu people so that I can sit down, pen in hand and paper, to perfect the doctrine. So this was well spent time in prison. This is what, when we say to people that he was in prison, like he says, he needed time away from people to perfect our culture. And he's saying it here in verse 85. Yet I needed to be away from Shakasu people so that I can sit down, pen in hand and paper, to perfect the doctrine. So this was well spent time in prison perfecting our Hazab culture, Wu-Sabat or Wu-Nawab, and our language, Nuwapui or Nuapui, Misbatia or Nuapi, and set the record straight with the actual facts, the master's secrets, and so much more. So this is a master secret, the actual facts, and Partaruk. All of these came once he was imprisoned and he was able to, not be basically distracted, and so much more. 86. So all things have their reasons and purposes, as is the case with my being imprisoned to perfect Partarak, the way. 87. As par mudrad, one who reforms, the reformer, the renewer. I am doing just that, making all things new. 88. The seventh seal, the opener of that which had been shut up and sealed by Daniel, whose name means my judgment, or religion is El in Hebrew, or Illah in Arabic. Daniel 12 verse 2 to 4. So the true doctrine was shut up, sealed until these end times, as you read in Revelations 6 verse 3 to 12. 90. Then he would come forth with the seal of the living El, Revelation 7 2. The seal of the living deity, all right? It's the six-pointed star, interlocking six-pointed star with the crescent. 91. Then the seventh seal, Revelation 8:1. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. See, this is where, when we explain and say that the master teacher came and opened the seventh seal that is spoken about in Revelation 8:1 in 1970, and that the first half hour is from the year 1970 when the seal was opened to the year 2000. That's the first half hour. And in Revelation it says here 8:1, and when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. Once you see all these seven signs, know that you are living in the end of the Adamites' rule, the explanation of the Adamites' religions, and the renewing of all things. 92. And it was written in Revelation 2:17, he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. And in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saving he that receiveth it. 1. A new name, Wu-Sabat, known today as Wu-Sabat. 93. And he will have a new name, Revelation 3:12 to 13. And I will write upon him my new name, Pa-Natar, the overseer, Nuwapir, Yanun. 95. And a new Ghanai song will be Ghanoi, sung in a new Lasan tongue, Revelation 5:9. And they sung a new song, saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. Nuapic, Nubic, Nuapic, New Arabic. You hear that? Nubic, Nuapic, New Arabic. That's the new song. 95. And he had a new book, Revelation 10, verse 1 to 11. What's the new book? The Holy Tablets. 96. And after that, he will make all things new, Revelation 21:5. The renewer. 97. All this had to come to pass, yet the end is not yet. 98. Jesus is the Messiah, John 1:41. He first findeth his own brother Simon, and saith unto him, we have found the Messiah, which is being interpreted the Christ. We tell people this all the time. So read John 1 verse 41. He was the Messiah, not Christ. That was being interpreted from the word Messiah to Christ. 99. Muhammad is the comforter, John 15:26. But when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth, which proceedeth from the Father, he shall testify of me. 100. The Coptic Christians, Jabbar, who taught Muhammad, is that Spirit of truth, John 15:26 in Hadith. 101. Muhammad Ahmad of Sudan is that Al-Mahdi Hadith. 102. Noble Jew Ali is that prophet, John 1:21. 103. The messenger Honorable Elijah Muhammad is that Elijah, John 1:21. Malachi 4:5. 104. Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi is that reformer, hadith that would appear 100 years exactly after al-Mahdi had come of that same bloodline. 105. 7 in all as the 7 seals, and now that which was kept from you shut up, sealed, has been broken open with the right knowledge, the right wisdom, the right understanding, which gave you the right understanding that lead you to having the sound right reasoning. 106. I, Pa Nabab Yanun, come to make all things new, to break the hypnotic Hajj, Shalal, Nawam, spell of sleep, of religions or religious ignorance and blind faith, replaced with Hakak al-Hakak actual facts, confirmation of all things. 107. And known as Mikael, he who is like El, Daniel 12:1. Malachi, he who is my angel, Malachi 4:2. 108. Yeshua, Iusis, Jesus, Isa had the book, Apocalypse, Revelation, Al-Injil. 109. Ahmad, Muhammad had the book, Al-Quran, the Quran. 110. Gabar had the book, Gnostic Gospel. 111. Muhammad Ahmad ibn Abdullah al-Mahdi had the book, Al-Ratib. 112. Noble Jew Ali got the book, the Holy Quran, Circle 7. 113. Honorable Elijah Muhammad got the book, The Message to the Black Man in America. 114. As-Sayyid Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi got the book, The Holy Tablets, Book of Land. 115. Over the past 2,000 years, all based on the history of the Adamite races and their 6,000 years from the Ladad birth of their first man, they called Adam, ruddy man, born Tammuz, the 6th, 3761 BC, according to the calendar of Nippur, the Sumerian, Akkadian, and Babylonian, which became the Hebrew calendar. 116. The birth of the new white race by one Adam, John 14:1. Man that is born of a woman is of few days and full of trouble. And Genesis 1:26-27. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. 117. Given only 6,000 years, and they are genetically expiring, and their Safafat books, as their history also was expiring in the year 2000 AD. 118. And they will fade into extinction, as will all their religious teachings are being exposed as only legends. 119. The original white race of pure Nordics have already gone extinct. 120. Only remains in the blonde or safar yellow thin Farar fur with Zarek blue eyes, and the Hamir red thin Farar fur with Kadir Ayantwi green eyes, and many subbreeds of what is called Yarapu Europeans, as they fade away as their telomeres was Katufa programmed. 121. And their gods stated in their book, Genesis 6:3, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always thrive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. They will only live up until they can master the Yakasat genes, and death up until age 120. 122. And the prophet of that book of Genesis named Moses, Musa, he marked that book, Genesis 6:3, marker by his own death, Deuteronomy 34:7. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. Age 120. So 123. And now, after 4,000 years, the white race is now uncovering the secrets of extended life, as in Genesis 3, verse 4-5, and Genesis 3:22. And now they're extending their lives from 60 years upward until 120 years. 124. And that will complete the cycles of their telomeres and cell regrowth. 125. Yet the pure original white race who had Rh negative damam blood types have mostly faded away as the Cro-Magnon. Their Salafu ancestors who were crossbred with Nordic who came to Kawat Tahar, planet Earth, from Kamaat, Pleiades, Job 9:9, Job 38, verse 31 to 32, Amos 5:8. Seek him that maketh the seven stars and Orion, and turneth the shadow of death into the morning, and maketh the day dark with night, that calleth for the waters of the sea, and poureth them out upon the face of the earth. The Lord is his name. 126. And much later the Anunnaki used their own DNA, which had been mixed with the Sans people, who moved from South Africa, and they birthed the first ruddy man. Genesis 1:26 to 27. Job 14:1. Man, Adam, that is born of a woman is of few days and full of trouble, and attributes changed as he was moved. 1. Zakar, Genesis 1:27. Strong's number 2145. 2. Kadmon, Genesis 2:8. Strong's number 6924. 3. Adamu, Genesis 2:19, number 120. 4. Adapa, Sumerian stone tablet. He was born a female as all human males, with a father having 46 chromosomes. 127. Adam's father was named Cuth, Atum, and his mother was named Lilith. 128. Hawa, Eve, Titi's father was named Ptah, and her mother was named Anath. 129. Adam had XY chromosome, 46. 130. Eve had XX chromosome, 46. 131. This is confirmed by them having offspring. Abel, Genesis 4:2, 46 chromosomes, XY. Seth, Genesis 5:3, 46 chromosomes, XY. Enos, Genesis 5:6, 46 chromosomes, XY. And their Bible record of the Tanwa, generation of Adam and Eve, Genesis 5:1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. People were born, not from dust, clay, mud, loam. You see, so that whole belief of a man being created from the dust of the ground and then the rib taken to form woman is fictitious. And you get 23 chromosomes from your mother, 23 from your father, giving you the 46. And therefore, any offspring you have is going to have the same amount of chromosomes unless there's a defect or a mixture from something other than, the people that you come from. Okay, so let's keep going. 132. And in Genesis 6:1 to 5, I confirm that the Sawatatu, daughters of Adamites, or females, XX 46 chromosomes, and 133, had sex with the sons of God, males who are XY 46 chromosomes, and they had offspring, Haradu, children. 134. This also confirms that their original makers, or Elohim, gods of Genesis 1:1, who came down to earth, Genesis 1:2, also had to have had 46 chromosomes, and being called he, him, Genesis 1:27. In his or he, God was a male with XY chromosomes, 46, 135. And being he had sons, XY chromosomes, 46, Genesis 6:2, 136, who raped the Sawatatu, daughters of Enosite, Genesis 6:4, who had XX chromosomes, also 46, 137. So the God of the Bible and Quran was a physical Zazaz, man, with XY chromosome, 46, and had a Hamatat, wife, Asha, female, with XX chromosome, 46, to give birth to Sawa'u, sons of God. 138. This is salvation knowledge, new knowledge. None before me have explained this way. 139. This gives you a whole new way of looking at the Bible and the Quran and the Book of Mormons and the God of them as well as angels of them. 140. This is right knowledge of Wu-Sabat, here to replace the fictions, legends of faith and belief. These are the actual facts. 141. As they recorded, you shall know the truth, not fakak, faith, or achad, belief. 142, the truth, the facts. And now it is that sawab, truth, that will khafush, free you, both mentally and physically, from the rule of the devil. 143, no, it was always ways with you from 1970 AD. Nubian, Nuwapa, Nawabu, Islamic, Ansar, Al-Mahdi, Hebrew, Ishmaelite, tribe of Kedar, 144. And the original flag was right there. That's our original flag right there. And it was called the black flag of the Al-Mahdi, the black flag of Al-Mahdi flag, with two pyramids and a spear and crescent, 145. So Muhammad Ahmad ibn Abdullah al-Mahdi of Nubia in Sudan and Egypt was well aware of our Egyptian past and presented that fact on his flag by the two pyramids, 146. It started from you, lost in the West in the 1600s, your enslavement. 147. It was to last 400 years, Genesis 15:13 to 16, under the Canaanite tribe of Amorites, Genesis 9:25. See, a lot of people mix that up with the 430 years, which I will explain in a little bit. So that 400 years from the 1600s, because there were two major transatlantic slave trades, one in the 1400s and one in the 1600s. And so from 1600 to the year 2000, it's exactly 400 years. Let's continue. 148. Canaan was cursed with leprosy, Leviticus 13 verse 1 to 59. White people, and this is their tribes, Genesis 10, 15 to 19. Sodomite, 149. Yet of Adamites, as you see in the name, Genesis 10:19. Admah, same root as Adam, ruddy race of people. 150. Just as Amorite means mountain dwellers, cavemen and not Amorite, and America, the new Babylon of their Bible book Revelation. 151. So from 1600 AD, 400 years equals the year 2000 AD. 152. You see, it's not the Israelites of old, as their Bible makes it clear, that their bondage down to the very day and time, as you see in Exodus 12:40 to 41. See, this is what I was saying, that Exodus 12 verse 40 to 41 says, Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of 430 years, even the self same day, it came to pass that all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. Okay, that's the King James Version, 1611 AD. They went out from Egypt after 430 years of sojourning. So that's not the same as the 400 years. 153. So you are given the exact Zamut day and amount of years that the Israelites was in Egypt under the Egyptians, not the Canaanites. 154. They had left the land of Canaan to go down into Egypt. Genesis 46 verses 6, 26. Only 66 people in all left the land of Canaan, where they lived with lepers, Leviticus 14, 33 to 34. So they were not enslaved by Amorites of Canaan, Genesis 15, 16. 155. And they were in Egypt 430 years to the last day, not 400 years, Genesis 15, 13. 156. That is many of you in the west of the seed of Abraham's son, Ishmael's son, Kedar, born by Abraham raping a black woman of Egypt named Hagar, Genesis 17, verse 1 to 15. 157. And this Arab or mixed seed is what Arab means. The very first Arab mixed Persian, Chaldean, African, Egyptian. The first Nubian mixed. 158. His mother made Ishmael, the Arab, take a black wife of her own race. Genesis 21:21. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took him a wife out of the land of Egypt. 159. And Ishmael and his black wife birthed 12 sons and 1 daughter. Genesis 25 verses 12 to 18. 160. Genesis 25:13 points out the tribe of Kedar, a word that means black. Song of Solomon 1:5. 161. And Havilah in circle in Sudan, as you read in Genesis 2:11, where you see the two Nile rivers, Pison, Blue Nile, Gihon, White Nile. 162. And make note, verse 11 says, which compasseth in circles the meaning of Havilah in Hebrew and Arabic. Hebrew, around. Arabic, around. Yeah. So when you say encompasses, it's around. So it's the lands of Sudan and Cush, Ethiopia. 163. So you are those mentioned in the Bible. Genesis 15. 13 to 16. Not all of you, for the slaves were mixed together from different parts of Africa, and even with those Native Americans who were always on this part of Taha, earth, black natives with nappy wabar hair. 164. So the 400-year bondage was not Shasasu Israelites of old. 165. They were in Egypt 430 years exactly. 166. They were not under Amorites of the Sakah, land of Canaan, from which they left. 167. The seal was opened in the year 1970 AD, giving you 1/2 hour of 30 years to wake from hypnotic Hajar Shalal Nawam, spell of sleep. 1970 plus 30 equals the year 2000 AD. 168. That is the year of your salvation. 169. Salvation is the act of preservation, deliverance, liberation, and emancipation from the Latin word salvere, meaning slave. 170. I am that Savior you have looked for so long, raised up amongst you, was with you, yet you knew me not. 171. Yet now all Ayanat eyes will know me, as you see now. Sawab kawun sawab. Truth is truth, without beginning, without end. There you go. If you want to get your salvation, start reading Wu-Sabat. This is the answer and the salvation for you in this day and time. All right. Until the next one, wadu.